Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service us.
No! We will not service Washington.
Mr. Worf. Fire.
Well. Welcome to another broadcast of Renegade and the Rambler show on the Renegade Rambler Network. This is 18th century thinking for 21st century thinkers. And I'm joined today with the Rambler, the one and only, the Jeff Johnson. How are you doing today,
evening.
Jeff?
Pretty well, thank you.
I think I'm going to need to add the Yoda clip of which movie was that off of? The one where I think it was the Empire Strikes Back, where Luke's walking into the cave there on Endor. Not Endor. Dagobah. It's been a long day, people. I'm a little slow today. The one where he says, "Be afraid you should," or something of that nature. I'll have to find the exact clip for you.
Yep.
But anyway, go ahead, Jeff.
That's okay. We're just going to keep going here.
Yeah, we got to mix Star Wars and Star Trek, and that'll get everybody all fired up. All right, and in honor of
tonight, so we might as well get into it. And you wanted to start off with.
Yes. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. And we take a little bit different spin on it here at Renegade Rambler Radio on the Renegade and Rambler show. You see, I don't know about Jeff's family line, but my family line dates back to Virginia. So we tend to follow the good old Dixie. So, in honor of Memorial Day, I figured we'd go over a little bit of the details of Memorial Day. Memorial Day, believe it or not, was not started as a Union holiday. It was started as a Confederate holiday to honor the Confederate dead. I believe it was started by either the Sons of the Confederacy or the Daughters of the Confederacy, and it was started long before the Union ever thought of honoring its dead. So there's your little history of Memorial Day. So, now that Memorial Day's turned into the whole let's honor the dead and all the wars that we're not supposed to be in to begin with, do you want to get into the rest of the show now, Jeff, or do you want to add something to that?
I'm just going to kind of go back to what I said last night. It really isn't that, and I'm not going to speak for you, Daniel, but I think you probably agree with what I'm about to say. It's not that we're against those that serve.
No, we're not.
I don't have a problem with them specifically. My problem is with our government and the way that they use our troops to spread American exceptionalism at the end of a bomb or at the end of a gun or whatever it is. We have our troops all over the world being killed so that Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and a bunch of others can make billions of dollars killing people around the world and selling their arms to Saudi Arabia to the tune of $350 billion. And it's just, I'm not against the people that serve. They're not the problem. The problem is this immoral and illegal government. So those of you that served out there are not putting you down. We thank you that you have served, your service is not diminished by their evil. It's just that you've been used for evil causes. And I'm sorry that that's what happened. And I'm sorry that there's a lot of Americans that have lost their life. Their families have been forever changed because a corporation needed another $1 billion.
Oh, it gets even more devious than that. But yes, our issue is with the federal government, not with the troops. By no means should anybody take my comments to think I'm against the troops. My family was in the military. Family's got a long history of being in the military. We're completely against, though, how they're being used currently to inflict American exceptionalism around the world and nation building. The whole idea of you going into a country and bombing it because you want to put a pipeline through there and they don't want you to do it is preposterous and stupid, and it needs to stop, and it should have never been started to begin with.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, we're in one place, we're at war with ISIS. Another place, we're arming ISIS. Another place, we're against Al-Qaeda. Another place, we're arming Al-Qaeda. One place... People, can you not see the absurdity of that whole statement I just made? And it's true. In one place, we're killing ISIS. In another place, we're arming them. In one place, we're killing Al-Qaeda. In another place, we're arming them.
Yeah,
so
we are the world's
what are we doing? What is the whole point?
We are the world's warmongers, and it needs to stop.
I mean, again, I'm not against those people in uniform. They're not the ones doing this. They are the ones following the orders. Unfortunately, a lot of them are being killed. A lot of them are being maimed. And I'm sorry, this may offend somebody, but it's the truth. And tomorrow is just a day set aside so that we can glorify our war making and our killing machines to spread the wealth around to the corporations. And unfortunately, we're celebrating those that lost their lives. And I completely feel sorry for these families that this is what we have. We have to celebrate them losing their lives. It's just immoral. But it's going to go into it. I mean, we're going to have our next story is going to just fall in line with the immorality of this government.
And on that note, let us get into our other story. And again, happy Memorial Day. We do respect the troops that are there. We just don't agree with the government sending them into combat where they shouldn't be.
Yeah. And for like I said last night, the Gold Star families, I'm sorry for your loss. I truly am.
All right. On that note, there was an interesting story. We didn't get to it last week, but we obviously saved it over for this week. It was a report on ABC 27, which is my local news affiliate. And the title of the piece was Inspection Shows Health Violations at Harrisburg Abortion Clinic. Or they use the word facility because, let's turn it into a production facility instead of what it actually is, which is a murdering factory. According to the article, Department of Health inspection of the Hillcrest Women's Medical Center in Harrisburg shows issues with background checks, expired medical supplies, and anesthesia policy violations. Honestly, really, we're killing babies, but we're worried about freaking background checks and expired meds. Oh, and Lord help us, the anesthesias weren't being documented properly. Are you freaking kidding me? The health department inspected the abortion facility in February as part of an annual registration survey. The report was recently made public. The inspection says even though Hillcrest was admitting and treating people younger than 18, 8 employees did not have required background checks, and the facility was not in compliance with the Child Protective Services law. So we're worried about Child Protective Services when it comes to a 16-year-old girl wanting to kill a baby, but we're not worried about the unborn baby or the soon-to-be-born baby in the mother's womb. Seriously, people. Do I have to... Jeff, do you not see the hypocrisy in this?
Yes, I mean, they're killing a child, but they're worried about a child. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get that part of it because they're worried about the child being exploited by somebody that is at the facility. So if they're, I don't know, there's just so many bad ways to go with this.
It's like, okay, you go out and you shoot somebody, kill them. You didn't have a background check. Why did you have a background check, Jeff? You were supposed to get one before you murdered that person.
Well, I got one before I bought the gun.
But you didn't get one. It wasn't relative when you went to shoot the person.
And they didn't get the background check. Those people the majority of the people that kill someone, especially look at like Chicago, which is a murder factory out there. Are those guns even legally bought? Were there background checks? No. They're stolen. They're black market guns. They're probably the ones that Obama sold in the, what was that? Fast and Furious. Obama. They're are you gonna get? I not only got to get my Obama phone, I got an Obama gun.
Yeah, so I can call my Obama drug dealer to see who I need to take down today to get my free score. All right, going on. The survey goes on to say the facility failed to correctly document the administration of local anesthesia used in the abortion procedure, and there were no local anesthesia policies for patients undergoing surgical abortions. Got people. Really, you're killing people, but we're worried about documentation of the anesthesia given to numb you up before we kill the perfectly living being inside of the woman. Which, while we're on that note, some people like to say it's a clump of cells. Because you all apparently failed biology class here. The clump of cells, quote unquote, does not have the exact same DNA strand as the mother. It's 50% mother, 50% man. This is basic biology. It also doesn't share the blood of the mother. It actually takes the blood type of the father. So if you're going to say it's a clump of cells, you can't, because it's not just a clump of cells. It's another person. It's as much a person as my wife sitting beside me. You can't have it both ways. If it's a clump of cells and has the exact same DNA, which cancer would, then you could say it's a clump of cells. But because it doesn't have the same DNA, doesn't even have the same blood type, your whole argument is in fallacy there. Moving on. The Department of Health found expired medications, needles, and syringes in paper wraps that were deteriorated and yellow with age, and chlamydia and gonorrhea swabs that expired in 2004. Oh, dear Lord. Jeff, you want to take this one before I blow a blood vessel?
So they're worried about these swabs that are expired in 2004 while they're putting forceps into a woman and tearing apart a living human being that just happens to be still in the womb, soon to be born.
Yeah, we're worried about the saline solution not being up to proper code that we're injecting into the mother's womb
there to kill the baby.
Yeah, to kill the baby. This is like worrying about the person being injected on death row, that the expiration date on the meds was for last Tuesday and not today.
And the person didn't die as quickly as they would like, and they might have suffered a little bit. But all along, forgetting the family members of the person that more likely that person killed, who destroyed their lives, or the pain of the victim they killed. So, yeah, again, I mean, we worry about all the wrong things. Well, no, we don't worry about it. The murderers, the evil people that do not love life, do not love families, and do not love truth are the ones that are worried about the unimportant to obfuscate the important. So all this obfuscation is only to distract from what is really important, the murder of the baby.
Oh, it gets better, Jeff. You wait till I get to the end of this article. Hillcrest was cited for not having a quality assurance program. Quality assurance for what? Murder? Really? Okay. So if I go shoot my wife, I have to have a quality assurance program to make sure I do it right. Really. Because I might do it wrong. She might not.
Hope you do it right.
she might not die quickly enough or with the approved amount of pain. Oh, dear Lord, I'm going to lose it. The Department of Health asked twice for the facility to provide documentation that consultant physician was board certified in obstetrics and gynecology. Hillcrest did not provide such documentation. Jeff, if you get pulled over by a state trooper and he asks you for license, registration, and proof of insurance, do you get to tell him no twice before he takes you out of the car and puts handcuffs on you?
No.
Okay,
no, you're going to have to provide the information. But even beyond that, I mean, so let's rewind back until the 70s, in 1973 or 4. I can't remember which year exactly it was that Roe v. Wade came in. They did Roe v. Wade because there was all these back alley abortions. That was their claim. So these people here couldn't provide the information to prove that this guy may not even be a freaking doctor. They can't even provide the documentation at all. This could be the back alley dude from 1974 that was doing abortions then, and they just kind of retreaded him today because they couldn't find a doctor.
Yeah. Oh, but they here's the next part. At the time of inspection, Hillcrest did not employ or use the services of a registered nurse.
So they didn't have a doctor and they didn't have a nurse. But let's just kill the baby. It's all good. It's all good.
We don't have a doctor. We don't have a nurse, but don't worry. We have this clerical person here,
and we got a coat hanger.
She watched a 30-minute YouTube video. She figured out the right amount. But here, can you sign this waiver saying that if we kill you, it's not our fault?
Oh, you know what? I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I can do the procedure.
You're probably qualified to work at this place. And here's the best part. Hillcrest has had 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 out of compliance inspections in the last 6 years. I can tell you right now, if the trucking company got inspected and was out of compliance 4 of 6 years, the trucking company no longer exists. DOT would shut us down. And we're not in the business of killing people, at least not on purpose. These people do it for the sake of doing it. In the inspection note, and ABC did call them to try and get a comment. Obviously, no one called them back. in the inspection notes, Hillcrest representatives wrote that they have since hired a registered nurse and outlined plans to fax the physician certification to the Department of Health. Said they have since thrown out all expired medications and supplies and said all employees will have background checks by June. Okay, does anyone, if they're out of compliance for the last, if they had freaking medications from 04, do we really think they threw out the medications the last 3 times they were out of compliance? Am I the only one that goes, no? They probably just put it in a different locker that's not searched when they do the inspections.
They just play the shell game. Oh,
yeah, just move it into
let's move the stuff real quick, and we'll put it over there because they already looked there.
Yeah. This is to be destroyed. That's a destroy locker. And then as soon as the inspection's done, you rip it out of the destroyed locker and go throw it in the regular closet. Health Department spokesman April Hutchinson says Hillcrest has until August 31st to complete all corrections. So the inspections in February, they have till the end of August to get their act cleaned up. Can we just close them down? Really, is it that hard to actually apply the rules to a known rule breaker and just close them down? It's not that hard when it comes to any other business. Oh, wait. Pennsylvania is in the business of killing babies.
If any other doctor's office had 4 occasions like this and out of 6 years, the Department of Health would be in there closing them down. They wouldn't even think twice. But because this is a murderborium, they're going to leave it open, and they have until August to do it. And then if they it says, go ahead. Just finish the last paragraph. I won't read it. Go for it.
All right. The department will visit the facility again to ensure those corrections have been made. Penalties cannot be assessed until the revisit is complete.
Penalties cannot be assessed. Okay. Daniel, you're speeding down the road. Is a penalty going to be assessed?
Oh, a penalty is going to be assessed before they even get me pulled over. That cop already has in his mind how fast I was going and what my penalty is going to be before I put on my turn signal to park at the side of the road to await his wonderful presence.
If you get caught selling drugs, is there going to be a penalty assessed?
Oh, yeah, they'll confiscate everything I own and then tell me I have to provide my own lawyer. But I can't use any of my funds to provide my lawyer.
But this murderer, Borium, is not going to have a penalty assessed for being out of compliance with law 4 times out of 6 years.
Oh, but make sure you buckle your seatbelt, Jeff, and
that's right.
You turn that blinker on.
That's right. Don't go down the road without that seatbelt on. Click it or ticket. It's only for your safety. But let's murder some more babies. It's all fun.
Which leads me to another subject that we did not go through in show prep, but I wanted to cover anyway. This whole click it or ticket scam. And yes, it's a scam, people, because if I don't put my seatbelt on, you know the only person I'm hurting? Me. I'm not hurting my wife by not putting my seatbelt on. Well, I mean, she might say that's relative if I die in a wreck. But I'm not hurting anybody else by not putting my seatbelt on. It's a money-making scam, people. It's just like the texting when driving legislation they've been passing that increase all these crazy fines. And what's the other one I'm thinking of? Not the DUI. The DUI is pretty darn close to it.
Well, especially
anyway,
like Utah, that's dropped it down to a 0.05. I mean, practically, okay, here's the greatest thing. Use mouthwash with alcohol in it in the morning, get pulled over, you're going to blow higher than a 0.05. And all you did is gargled with mouthwash.
Oh, yeah. Don't touch alcohol now. Alcohol's evil. Yeah. But on the other hand, it's, yes, please buy alcohol because we need the tax revenue.
Yeah. Anyway, like cigarettes. Don't buy cigarettes. All right.
We're 3 minutes over.
Media file now. Oh, we're over? Yes, we are. Go to break. Sorry about that.
All right. This is the Renegade and Rambler show on the Renegade Ramblers Network. And this is 18th century thinking for 21st century thinkers. We'll be right back.
18th century ideas for 21st century thinkers.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm going down to the river. I've got a cane pole in my hand.
What you doing, Brain?
Reading history, Pinky.
Oh, I love doing that, but I always forget to buff the chrome.
That would be waxing the car, Pinky. That's different.
Oh.
Reading history doesn't make things shiny. It edifies you and prepares you to confront the possibilities of destiny.
Did you know that every time your mouth moves, strange sounds come out?
I'll explain this so that even you can understand.
Here at Renegade Ramblers Radio, we like to explain things so even the ruling elite can understand it. 18th century ideas for 21st century thinkers. This is the Renegade Ramblers Radio Network, featuring the Renegade and Rambler Show on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, The Glorious Cause on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, and the Barrett Briefing on podcast. 18th century ideas for 21st century thinkers.
Gee, Brain, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
There are many sanctions we could take. Financial institutions, for one. Believe it or not, the Russians have a very weak economy. We could do a lot more damage there. Individuals could be sanctioned. Organizations could be sanctioned. There's a wide range of options that we still have to respond to a Russian attack. When you attack a country, it's an act of war.
Take over the world.
That would have to constitute an attack on the United States of America.
Let me ask you this question. Is Vladimir Putin a war criminal?
I would not use that term.
Well, let me describe the situation in Aleppo, and perhaps that will help you reach that conclusion.
Much heaven, no, it's much harder to come. I'm waiting in line. Nobody gets too much love anymore. It's as high as a mountain and harder to climb. Ooh, you nigga, got a lot of loving stuff.
Well, welcome back to Renegade Ramblers Radio Network, and this is the Renegade and Rambler Show. And we're going to come back to our story that we were just talking about abortion. And I'm going to play some rather disturbing media file from a Planned Parenthood event. It's really, really difficult to hear, so I'm going to stop it a few times throughout and try to give you what they were saying, because this was undercover video footage. So the people that were doing it, all the mics and stuff are undercover. So it's really hard to hear, but some of it is just truly, truly disturbing. And I'll stop and I'll try to give you the context over what they were saying. So let me just start this here.
Our stories don't really have a place in a lot of pro-choice discourse and rhetoric, right? The heads that get stuck that we can't get out, the hemorrhages that we manage, those are all parts of our experience.
All right, so they're saying that there's parts of the baby they can't get out, and obviously there's probably stuff going on with the mother, and hemorrhages they're having a hard time managing. And they're just talking about it like it's nothing.
No, it's every other day in the park.
It's every other day in the park. So that's what she was talking about. She's talking about they're having a hard time getting the baby parts out of the woman after they tore the baby apart into pieces. If that's not disgusting enough to start, but it gets better.
But there's no real good place for us to share those.
The fetus is a tough little object.
The fetus is a tough little object. So she's talking about that it's hard to kill the baby, to tear it apart.
On day one is very difficult.
Oh my God, I get it. When the skull is broken, that's really sharp.
So when the skull is broken, it's really sharp. Now, folks, this is how folks, people, listen. That was a baby she's talking about. They crushed the baby's head. And, she just makes light. It just gets better. She makes light of this whole thing.
I understand why people are talking about getting that skull out and sometimes she'll tell me she wants brain and
Now, this person's talking about the people that buy the body parts. Oh, she'll say sometimes she needs a brain. Listen real closely to the end of this one.
we'll leave the Calvarium until try to basically take it or actually catch everything, keep it separate from the rest of the tissue so it doesn't get lost.
So they're having a hard time separating, so they'll pull the head off complete so they can keep from losing the tissue because they need the brain. Is this not pure evil, folks?
just fell down into my lap, and that is gross.
All right. I'm going to go back to that because that was hard to hear, but listen real close to this one. See if I can get back.
Down into my lap, and that is gross. An eyeball just fell down into my lap, and that is gross.
All right. Did you hear that? An eyeball fell out onto her lap, and that was gross. And the people in the background are laughing. Here we go. One more time.
Fell down into my lap, and that is gross.
So we do attack TVs. So.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm doing a procedure, and I'm in fear that it's about to come to the likeness.
All right. Just to give you some perspective here. This is a doctor that's going to do the abortion. The baby's coming out, and it comes up the umbilicus. It's the navel. So she's worried it's going to be a partial birth abortion. So what does she do? I'll play the rest of it, but you really can't hear it, but I'll tell you what she said.
I might ask for a second set of forceps. The body at the cervix and along the distance.
Oh, okay.
So it's not
right. What's really hard to hear is that she gets another set of forceps and grabs the baby and rips the legs off. That's how you keep from having a partial birth abortion. I don't know.
Given that we actually see this the same way, and given that we might actually both agree that there's violence in here, ask me why I keep working. Let's just give them all the violence is a person is killing. Let's just give them all that.
All right. What she said is, let's just give them all that it's violent and we're murder and we're killing. So she's admitting that it's violent and they're killing a life. This person is upfront about it. And what's their response? What do they think about it? So what? So we're killing. Let's just keep doing it. Here, let me go back a little bit. So you can hear that a little bit better.
Let's just give them all the violence is a person is killing. Let's just give them all that.
You go in there and you go, am I getting the uterus or the fetus? Oh, good, fetus. What have I got? Nothing. Let's try that.
So, let's just try again. Last week, the baby part mill said they needed 4 intact limbs. Okay, going on.
Incentive from you guys is going to be like to the people we have to get this approved. We'll be very happy about it. So.
I know Planned Parenthood sells a lot of stuff to people.
The truth is that some might want to do it to increase the revenues, and we can't stop them. Some might want to do it to increase the revenues.
At the very end there, the video was repeating what this last lady said. What do you think we're going to do it for? For a little bit of revenue. They're killing babies for revenue. Daniel, I'm just completely dumbfounded. I almost have no words to express my disgust at the callousness and the evil that's in the hearts of these people that have they do not care that they're killing. The one lady said it, but let's just give it to them. That, yeah, it's violent. We're killing them. So what? And then at the end, it's all about the money. The one lady joking about an eyeball falling out onto her lap out of the baby she just murdered. Ooh, that's gross. And everyone laughed. Everyone chuckled. Thought it was just so cute and funny.
If we replace the word fetus with Jew, do you think people will get the idea finally?
I don't think they will, Daniel. Quite honestly. Again, this goes back to a couple weeks ago when I said we're at war. This is a war. There is no common ground. We have nothing in common with these people. I want nothing to do with these people. These people here are pure evil. They're despicable. They're disgusting. They're vile. I want nothing to do with them. That's why we have these 18th century ideas, these 18th century principles that we're talking about. We're talking about separating, secession. And part of those 18th century ideas is Jefferson's in the preamble where he says, among these rights is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What's the very first right that God grants us?
I like the part of the Declaration where it says it's the right of the people to alter and abolish. What was it? Reform, alter, or abolish?
Let's just about is a principle of life. And these people have no respect for life at all. And that's why when we talk about 18th century ideas for 21st century thinkers, we're hoping that some of these ideas start people out there that are listening to us to start thinking about these solutions. Because honestly, Daniel, do you want anything to do with people like this?
No. No, I would.
Okay, we just had this whole story about this place that's using stuff that's from 2004 on little girls that are coming in for abortions. And they can't even provide the documentation. They even have a doctor there. They didn't have a nurse there for sure. And the whole point of this, like I said earlier, Roe v. Wade was because there were all these back alley abortions happening. And so instead of putting these back alley abortionists in prison for murder, let's just make it legal and let doctors do the murdering. And so now we're back to where we don't have doctors doing the murdering. We have the back alley abortionists doing it at this clinic that's supposedly sanctioned by the state. Some more thoughts on that, Daniel, before I close out with this next article on this. It's a separate subject, but it fits in with this whole thing of people we don't want anything to do with.
No, do you want to get into that? We only got 3 minutes till the next break.
I can read this. It's only a paragraph. I can read this in 3 minutes.
Okay.
And my blood pressure will be high enough. Transgender birth certificates approved by Illinois House. Last Thursday afternoon, the Illinois House debated and passed HB 1785, a highly controversial proposal that would make it significantly easier for gender dysphoric persons to obtain fraudulent birth certificates. This bill would pass by a vote of 63 to 32, and they have the full roll call below. 6 Republican lawmakers voted with the 57 Democrats to approve the deceptive birth certificates, and they named those. If one of these, blah, blah, blah. I guess truth doesn't matter for legal documents in Illinois. This bill now moves on to the Illinois Senate for consideration. Simply put, the state of Illinois has no duty or right to make it easier for men and women who wish they were the opposite sex to falsify their birth certificates. So that's the whole article.
Did Illinois make it legal for me to declare myself as a Wookiee yet?
No, but again, this goes back to our discussion before. Just give them time. That'll come too. But so we have these people that are diabolical, wanting to murder people, and we have people that are destroying the barriers of the two sexes for their own immoral and debauched lifestyles. And in some of the cases, to victimize our wives and our children, our daughters in women's rooms. So now they're going to be able to get a birth certificate that is fraudulent. And I love that article. This article's put it out there as it is. They're fraudulent. Biologically, they were born a man, or biologically, they were born a woman. But Illinois, if it goes through the Senate and it goes to the governor, and I'm sure if it goes to the governor, he'll sign it. I'm pretty sure they have a Democrat governor. I'm sure that'll pass. And then the birth certificate in Illinois will be a worthless piece of paper, worth only being used as toilet paper. And that is all it'll be good for. And so I told you, Daniel, I could do it in 3 minutes.
Yep. And now
do we want to go to break?
Yep. Take us out.
Well, this is the Renegade and Rambler show on the Renegade Ramblers Radio Network. 18th century ideas for 21st century thinkers.
I took off for a weekend last month just to try and recall the whole year.
Yeah, I think Judith's point of view is very valid, Reg, provided the movement never forgets that it is the inalienable right of every man or woman to rid himself or herself, agreed? Thank you, brother, or sister. Where was I? I think you finished. Oh, right. Furthermore, it is the birthright of every man or woman. Why don't you shut up about women, Stan? You're putting us off. Women have a perfect right to play a part in our movement, Reg. Why are you always on about women, Stan? I want to be one. What? I want to be a woman. From now on, I want you all to call me Loretta. What? It's my right as a man.
Oh, why do you want to be Loretta, Stan?
I want to have babies. You want to have babies? It's every man's right to have babies if he wants them. But you can't have babies. Don't you oppress me. I'm not oppressing you, Stan. You haven't got a womb. Where's the fetus going to gestate? You're going to keep it in a box?
Here, I've got an idea. Suppose you agree that he can't actually have babies, not having a womb, which is nobody's fault, not even the Romans, but that he can have the right to have babies.
Good idea, Judith. We shall fight the oppressors for your right to have babies, brother. Sister, sorry. What's the point? What? What's the point of fighting for his right to have babies when he can't have babies? It is symbolic of our struggle against oppression. Symbolic of his struggle against reality.
The left's struggle against reality becomes more and more apparent every day. Don't be a relativist. Listen to Renegade Ramblers Radio. 18th century ideas for 21st century thinkers.
He gone and painted his entire Chevy Cavalier. Camouflage. It disappears when it pulls out of his garage.
You won't disappear when you wear Tail Gunner apparel, custom camo clothing, and all natural bath and body products for women and men too. And don't forget to ask about their line of custom home products and bed scarves. Look awesome and feel even better. Tail Gunner Apparel on Facebook at Tail Gunner Apparel and at tailgunnerapparel.etsy.com. That's tailgunnerapparel.etsy.com.
Camouflage ain't nothing doesn't go with camouflage. You can't blend in the country. You can't stand out in the fashion world. A little too tall, could have used a few pounds. Tight pants points, hollering out.
Well, welcome back to Renegade and the Rambler show on the Renegade Rambler Network. 18th century ideas for 21st century thinkers.
You got it.
Oh, there we go. I finally got it, and it's toward the end of the show. One of these days, I will get it down completely. I'm just a little slow, people. I'm a truck driver. You just have to get over it.
Well, you got me last week or the other night because you said it, and then later on, I actually remembered it and said it the same way. But it is 18th century ideas because that's, again, like I said, that's what we're trying to get people to think about. Come up with a different paradigm. Because what we're doing now, voting for the next conservative isn't working. So, okay, Daniel, did you have another story you wanted, or should I just lead off with our next one?
Well, I thought it would be a little. I looked up the U.S. code during the break on human fetal tissue. The very first thing is it's 42 U.S. code subsection 289G-2 prohibitions regarding human fetal tissue. Paragraph A, purchase of tissue. It shall be unlawful for any person to knowingly acquire, receive, or otherwise transfer any human fetal tissue for valuable consideration if the transfer affects interstate commerce. Oh, so the feds got it right there. If it affects interstate commerce, I can't buy a gun across state lines because that's interstate commerce, but daggone it, as long as I keep the fetal tissue in the state of Pennsylvania, I'm legal, apparently, depending on what the state laws are.
Yeah, you can murder them and keep them here.
What the devil? Anyway, that was what I had there. So what's our next story?
Okay, USA Today. Damon Arthur. He plowed his field. Now he faces a $2.8 million fine. Red Bluff, California. A farmer faces a trial in federal court this summer and a $2.8 million fine for failing to get a permit to plow his field and plant wheat in Tehama County. The lawyer for Darte Nurseries said the case is important because it could set a precedent requiring other farmers to obtain costly, time-consuming permits just to plow. The case is the first time, quote, the case is the first time that we're aware that says you need to get a U.S. Army Corps of Engineer permit to plow and grow crops, said Anthony Francois, a lawyer for the Pacific Legal Foundation, the libertarian-leaning nonprofit fights for private property rights and limited government. We're not going to produce much food under those kinds of regulation, Francois says. So, I'll go down and read some more because there's some ins and outs there. But I live up in farm country in the center of PA, a lot of farmers around here, and I'm pretty sure that none of them are getting permits to plow their fields. Now, I'm going to go down and read some more of this because there's some fine print to this. But let me just read this because then you'll understand what I'm saying. However, U.S. District Judge Kimberly J. Mueller agreed that the Army Corps, in a judgment issued in June, a trial in which the U.S. Attorney's Office asked for $2.8 million in civil penalties, is set for August. The case began in 2012 when John Darte, who owns Darte Nursery near Modesto, California, bought 450 acres about 10 miles south of Red Bluff. No wheat there, according to Francois and court documents. Because the property has numerous swales and wetlands, Darte hired a consulting firm to map out areas of the property that were not to be plowed because they were part of a drainage for Coyote and Oats Creek and were considered waters of the United States. Francois conceded that some of the wetlands were plowed but not significantly damaged. He said the ground was plowed to a depth of 4 to 7 inches. The Army Corps did not claim Duarte violated the Endangered Species Act by destroying fairy shrimp or their habitat, Francois said. But that's where this is all going. They're saying they destroyed habitat for this fairy shrimp. So anyway, there's so many things in this. First, like I said earlier, there's a lot of farmers that live around me. And believe it or not, they have some wetlands on their property that right where they plow right next to it. So the U.S. government could require them, if this goes through, to buy a permit so they can plow their fields here just as well.
Ooh, sounds like a nice little money maker.
Yeah. So who's going to, some of these farmers, how are they going to be, where are they going to come up with the funds to apply And well, how much are we going to be growing when these guys are, oh, you can't plow there because that is, where's the quote? I got to read that again. It's waters of the United States. Since when did the United States own these wetlands?
Never. Never, ever.
Correct.
The only water mentioned in the Constitution that the federal government had power on was navigable waterways, and I'm sorry, but a creek is not navigable. You can't sail a little Johnny boat up a damn creek. Excuse the French. You can't. It's not navigable.
So they're making a claim that because there's some wetlands that drain. Now, you got to understand that this is wetlands that drain into a creek. They're not even the creek. They drain into the creek. And he plowed up to them and maybe plowed a little bit into that wetlands. And now, because he did, they're going to try to extort $2.8 million from this farmer for trying to grow wheat to feed the citizens of this former union. Now, national government run by megalomaniacs in Washington, 545 megalomaniacs plus 2 and plus 9 politically connected lawyers in black robes.
Of course,
the thousands of other lawyers in black robes that have been appointed in these hideous federal court system.
See, under normal circumstances, I would say, well, where's the governor and the sheriff at on this? But wait, it's California. So I think we already know where this is going to go.
Yeah,
but it's probably the state of California that told the Army Corps of Engineers what happened in the first place.
But see, this is the whole point, though. The problem is we live under a judicial system. If Suzanne were on tonight, she could explain this again about this precedent. So this guy will lose in court because the federal government does whatever the heck it wants. They don't care about the little guy. They'll put him out of business. They'll confiscate his land, and he'll be left destitute because the national government believes it can do whatever it wants. And you're right. Brown and all the rest of them there in California are in on the scam, and they'll do nothing to save the guy.
Until a governor or a sheriff finally takes a stand on this, it's just going to keep getting worse.
Yep. So you would think everyone out there saying, "Oh, but it's just one little case." But like I said earlier, I know a lot of farmers here that if this happens and it's set in motion, their little farms around me, they're going to be next. They're going to be on the next because hey, they have wet areas that drain into a creek. So
Lord help us.
This is just the beginning. And you think, okay, well, that's just one little isolated incident where the general government, national government, because that's what it is, not a general government, national government is out after one guy. It's okay. Don't get all upset about it. It's just it's a fluke. It's an apparition. It's just it's not real. Here we go. U.S. Marine Corps veteran facing life in prison over 1 ounce of cannabis to treat his PTSD. Did you all hear that? 1 ounce.
Okay. That's gotta that's
life sentence.
That can't be right, Jeff. That just can't be. For 1 ounce?
Geronimo, Oklahoma. After serving 3 tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, Christopher, Lewandowski was medically and honorably discharged from the Marine Corps after fighting the state's wars for them. So we sent him off to fight in all our undeclared wars. We damaged this young man. After fighting the state's wars for them, however, The state has taken it upon themselves to wage a personal war against him for naturally treating an illness he acquired fighting for them. Lewandowski is now a 100% disabled veteran because of the severity of his PTSD. Since he has gotten out, the VA had him taking up to 18 pills a day to treat his PTSD. The pharmaceutical treatment was literally killing him. We have Big Pharma that has all these great and wonderful drugs that they're going to prescribe, and it says here that they were literally killing him. Going back to a discussion we had with Suzanne, I think, about ADHD. I won't say anything about the family member other than to say that the family member was at one point in their life giving Ritalin for ADHD. It turned this person into a zombie, and the parents saw what was going on with it, and they took the child off the medication. Now, our schools use ADHD as a way to medicate these children that may be just a bit unruly. And as little kids, some tend to be unruly. So Big Pharma has a big in with the schools. Big Pharma has a huge in with the VA to give medications to these men that are damaged because of our wars, undeclared wars all over the world. So he was taking 180 Percocet per month for 10 consecutive months, along with a prescription for Oxycontin. Lewandowski's liver was failing. Luckily for this Marine veteran, he found cannabis, and it worked. Cannabis treats PTSD so effectively, as both clinical and anecdotal evidence has shown. The Drug Enforcement Agency recently approved it for first ever study of its whole plant medicinal use for vets in April. By allowing the use of the whole cannabis plant, the DEA opened the door for even smoked variety in the study. But obviously, even though there's a study, they're going after this guy because he did it outside of their blessing.
So what exactly are they charging this veteran with?
The story ends there. They didn't get into it. The study is critical step. They go off on the story about that, but they don't ever say what he's being charged with.
Because to be doing life or looking at life for 1 ounce is really, really ridiculous.
Well, they probably got him because he was probably growing it. So they probably are using some sort of old drug law because he was growing it. They're going to say he was doing it to make money, and so they're going to confiscate everything, and they're going to put him in jail under some old RICO filing or something, a RICO filing or something, that they're going to make him out to be some drug kingpin or something.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to. That's probably what it's under. The story doesn't go on to it. It kind of ends. They talk about but the headline alone speaks volumes of why we need to get out of this union. And do you have anything else that you want to close with here, Daniel, to discuss? Or, I mean, because quite honestly, whether it's this Marine or this farmer, we're to the point now that the ridiculousness of this government is on display daily. They have no mores that tie them down. They can do whatever they want. The so-called divine constitution does nothing. So what does that leave us with? A Declaration of Independence, 18th century ideas for 21st century thinkers. So Daniel, hey, good night. I'm done. I've rambled enough. I've blathered enough.
Yeah, that's the end of the. It's the end of the show. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll let you know when our shows are on. We also have a Facebook page at Renegade Ramblers Network. So look us up there, like the page, share the page postings. We normally try to let you know when the show is going to be on, what the link is to watch it on YouTube. But if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, it will send out an alert, and it will also give you the link to watch the show live. So we hope to see you next week. There'll be another episode, hopefully, of the Glorious Cause Saturday at 8. And then there'll be another Renegade and the Rambler show on Sunday, June the 4th, I believe. We're already into June. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Hope you have a good week and stay safe, my friends.